Hello, everyone, and welcome into your reading for the weekend of March 23rd and March 24th. So this is leading up to the eclipse that's happening on Monday. So there's going to be some little bit of disruption in the energy here. I will be doing a special eclipse reading on Monday, so make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell to be alerted as to when that video posts. But for now, let's go ahead and jump into the weekend reading and see what all energies want to come through for you for this weekend. All right, so we have our Two of Wands, Judgment, and Eight of Cups. So our Two of Wands, and this is kind of that decision point, like it's about kind of like that personal power and making a decision, and there's multiple different cards, like our twos are usually about making a decision. It's interesting because look, this one lady has two sets of hands in this. So it's like trying to grip both the mop and the broom. But this is a matter of like personal power. So it's like an empowered decision that's being made. And a lot of times there's a sense of maybe some travel or, moving things in a different direction. So we also have the Judgment card, and the Judgment card is about closing out of cycles. And did you learn what you were supposed to be learning? And if you did, then you're going to have some, favorable judgment by the divine coming in. And I always equate this to, this is like if you took a classroom course and you take the final exam. Did you learn what you were supposed to learn in that class? Did you pass the test, or are you going to be looping through it again? And then we also have our Eight of Cups energy, which is a little bit about this letting go. So there's a sense of whatever it was that you were clinging to, you've learned that lesson of, okay, clinging to something that's not serving me is not going to help. I'm just going to keep looping through this lesson. So it's like there's a sense of doing something different this go around when it comes to a decision-making point. And this is something, especially with this eclipse coming up, it has that sense of, you have the full moon, which is about letting go of things that are no longer serving you. You have the new moon in the middle part of the eclipse where it's about planting seeds for a better future. And then you go back to the full moon of letting go of the things that aren't serving you. So that is kind of the overall message that's coming through right now for the collective as well. All right, let's go sign grouping by sign grouping. And let's start with our air signs. That is our Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So I'll do air signs in general, and then I'll pull a couple cards individually for each sign as well. Judgment. So lots of judgment. This is really a pivotal time for the air signs of, are you learning? Double up on judgment. Are you learning the lesson that you're supposed to be learning? And sometimes it helps if you can almost like pull yourself out of your situation and look at it as if this was a book that you were reading or a play or a movie. And what are the main themes? What is the main character going through? And think about it this way. If you're writing a book report about your life, what is the challenge that your main character is going through? What do they do to overcome these obstacles? How did they, how did the reader who's reading the story see that this was coming up? Like, what were the signs? And what can the main character do to avoid looping with those lessons? So, Ixchel, medicine woman, you are a channel for divine healing power. So some of the times, especially if you've been looping through a lesson and it's, been frustrating for you, remember that some of the times you go through these really painful lessons because you are here. You are here to be able to help shine the light for other people. So the roadmap or what you do to overcome this could be the roadmap that helps somebody else get out of the same situation. So as a medicine woman, you're a channel for this healing power. Don't, it's easy to be, oh, woe is me. Why am I going through this? Maybe you're going through this to be able to help others out of this situation. If you aren't happy, make different choices. So this goes really well with that Judgment card. You're at a crossroads. You have this decision to make. You're at a crossroads. What are you going to do if you're not happy with where things are right now, or you're not happy with the lay of the land? what different choices could you make that will give you a different result? You know, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So do something different. If you want something different, choose something different. All right. And then we have Cosmic Blue Palladium, Unity, Wisdom, and Regeneration. So this is that wisdom, you know, looking at our blues here, this is that wisdom of, okay, what can I do differently to better my situation? And in terms of regeneration, regenerating yourself, like for one, refilling yourself energetically, but then also, you know, from the regeneration standpoint, building yourself back up in a different, better, happier way. All right, that was the overall message for air signs. Let's go sign by sign. So we will start with Gemini, the Emperor, and the Hermit. So this is definitely, you know, big for Gemini because you have all of these major arcana cards. So the two major arcana cards for you, we have the Emperor and the Hermit. So remember the Hermit, that's about that deep introspection, but it's also about lighting the way for other people. So like I said with this, about maybe part of the reason why you're going through this is so that how you overcome it can be a roadmap to other people. That's kind of that Hermit energy of lighting the way for others coming after you. And then the Emperor is that authoritative, but it's that strong, kind of confident energy. So saying, you know what, I am going to make a different choice, and not like I'm scared in a corner shaking, making a different choice, but one of those empowered decisions of, you know what, I'm going to make a different choice. So if this has to do with a job or a relationship, you know, saying, I deserve different than this. I deserve better. I deserve more. I deserve, you know, whatever. And standing in that power to say, I do deserve it. So I'm not going to settle for breadcrumbs. I'm not going to settle for scraps. I'm going to, you know, do X, Y, Z and make different choices. Oh, jumpy cards. Okay, we'll pull one of these cards as well for Gemini. Thank you for the lesson. So some of the times it's, you know, I would say it's always easier to say thank you and express gratitude, and like in your gratitude journal, express that when things are going well. Like, thank you for the new job. Thank you for the wonderful new friend. Thank you for the beautiful day outside, you know, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's harder when there's a tough lesson. You know, it's harder to say to the universe, thank you for sending that person in to break my heart. Thank you for sending that boss over to my desk to fire me today. You know, it's harder to express gratitude for that, but there's a lesson in it. So, you know, saying thank you to the universe for the lesson, like, thank you for putting this person in my life so that I could stand up for myself, so that I could demand better, so that I could be pushed to step into my power, into my true self. All right, next on to Libra. And we have our Libra lunar eclipse coming up, so there's going to be lots of extra energy here. So we have our 8 of Pentacles, and this is about honing your skills. So this is that expertise, like, look at her, you know, admiring the beautiful work. You know, she's painted this one, she's painted all of these. So you're really practicing at that. And then you have your 3 of Wands in reverse, which is about kind of clinging to the past, and there's some frustration. So keep in mind, you need to make sure that, you know, you've honed some of these skills to be able to make different choices. But with this, it's all about making a different choice and moving on. But for Libra, you do have this energy where you're wanting to cling to the past. So be mindful of that you're not sending yourself back through another loop. Because remember, if you aren't happy, make different choices. So if you're in a place where you're unhappy, this next round of choices that you make when you get to this 2 of Wands and this, you know, this heavy judgment that's coming out here, you need to make a different choice. Otherwise, you're going to loop through the same pattern. And let's pull one of these cards for Libra. Give it another chance. So with you, you know, this is a little bit of an opposite message to make different choices. but there is a way to make a different choice while still giving it another chance. So this isn't saying, you know, write this person out of your life altogether, but for Libra, it's saying you need to do something different that's going to give it another chance. So, you know, it's not one of those pound sand, leave me alone, I never want to talk to you again, but you have now honed your skills and you're incorporating this wisdom into how can I give this another chance, but under a different structure, under a different way where this could actually be successful. So you still need to make sure that you are making some different choices, that you're not just doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, but do it in such a way where you're giving the person a chance to change, to rise up, to make this a different scenario. All right, Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for you. We have 10 of Wands in reverse and the Devil in reverse. So our 10 of Wands in reverse is about having this sense of stress and burnout. There's just too many wands. There's too much to hold. And it's about breaking free of that. So remember, your Devil energy is anything that is keeping you off your path. It's keeping you off your mission. So it can be addictions. It can be negative thought patterns, some of those deep-rooted, you know, self-defeating beliefs that you have. It can be laziness. It can be procrastination. It's anything that's keeping you off path. And some of it could be like that you keep doing something over and over and over again, even though you're not happy with it. And then this one says, look for the beauty in the rain. So you're overcoming this and you're moving on. So you've overcome whatever has kept you looping. And so it comes across that for you, Aquarius, some of this like stress and burnout is because you're carrying the weight of everything on your shoulders. You're carrying the weight of the entire relationship on your shoulders. And that is that Devil energy of feeling like it's all up to you. You have to do all of it. You have to do all of it. Just suffer in silence, do all of it. And that's the part that you're breaking out of. That's the part where, you know, from a wisdom standpoint, you're breaking out of it and saying, wait a second, why do I have to do this? Why am I telling myself that I have to do this? And then with this one, the look for the beauty in the rain. And I know usually the cards that have the planet on it, they're normally the timing cards, but this was one of the very first cards I did. So I changed midstream from doing these, but look for the beauty in the rain. So even if it seems like it's sad and oh my gosh, I'm losing this. I'm walking away from this. I'm taking a stand against this. Look for the beauty of that situation and say, you know, like I've learned so much. I've learned different lessons. I'm a stronger person now. So even in the heartache, there's beauty in it. So that was for our air signs. Now we're moving on to our fire signs, which is our Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And we're going to see what messages are coming in for you for this weekend. All right. The Devil. So you have this Devil energy pushing on you. This also came out, was that Thursday or Friday? There was a ton of Devil energy. I think that was Thursday. Almost all the signs are getting the Devil energy, but you're really getting this hard. Something is pushing on you very hard, trying to keep you off your mission. And so you're getting to a point, you know, when it comes to this decision point, you're energetically, the whole collective is being pushed to rise up. But for you, fire signs, this is really hard because you've got this very strong Devil energy coming down on you right now that's trying to keep you stuck and looping. So remember, with the Devil energy, when we think about that, if you look and Google vibrational frequency chart, you can see, and it's like this inverted cone, and down at the bottom, it's like guilt, shame, fear, you know, anger, apathy, you know, all of that. And then at the higher levels, like the higher vibration is love and understanding and reason and compassion and all that. So the Devil energy, the Devil resides at the bottom levels. And like that love, that unconditional love is up at the top. So the Devil energy is anything that's keeping you in those lower vibrations. So that's going to be things that cause you fear, regret, apathy, shame, guilt. So whatever those energies are that are pulling you to keep you from making that decision, and it's trying to keep you from moving on. Then your goddess card is Sarasvati, the arts. Express yourself through creative activities. And some of that can help unlock, some of that more creative, higher consciousness, some of that flow. That's going to unlock some of that divine feminine energy. And it'll help you to be able to move out of some of these, especially if you're working on like apathy. Sometimes the arts will help you move at least into a better place there. So if it's feelings of shame or guilt or anger, the arts might be able to help you with that. But depending on what your artistic outlet is. So the card that jumped is there's no shortcut to healing. And so you have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort and the work to heal. It doesn't happen overnight. And then this one was, don't confuse chemistry with compatibility. So if part of the devil energy is somebody trying to, I guess, use sex to try to pull you in a different direction, don't confuse that with having actual compatibility with the person. So actual compatibility is alignment of your values, your beliefs, your, I'll call it growth patterns. And that's an important one. And people, sometimes maybe don't necessarily talk about it because it's not like super sexy or whatever. But, there's the idea of you as a person have certain drives for growth or you don't. So for couples who have been together for a long time, either you grow together, you grow apart, or one is growing and the other one's not. And so you do need to have similar growth patterns, even if it's something where, I'm not saying that you have to want to do all the exact same activities as the other person or, having all the same interests, but the fundamental concept of continuing to expand your horizons, whether it's physical activities, whether it's learning, whether it's spiritual growth, whatever, there needs to be a compatibility there, because otherwise then it's just an energetic mismatch. All right. And then we have Labradorite, Celestial Gold, Seeing the Unseen, Visionary Capabilities. So Labradorite, if you are not familiar with it, is this one. So it shows up, it's kind of bluish on one side, like sometimes it's more brown. So it depends on how it was cut and polished. There's different veins of color through it. So this is a good one for meditation. So you can hold it. I like having the towers that you can hold nicely in your hand. But then it's, seeing the unseen and this visionary capability. Some of that visionary capabilities is going to tie back to what I said about growth patterns. Does the other person, are you a visionary that, you want to do this and this and this with your life, and they're content to stay home and watch TV all day? They don't want to do anything. That is going to be a big issue, that no matter how much chemistry you have at some point, it's kind of like, yeah, but that's not really compatible, like a compatibility thing. You don't want to go in the same direction. So, all right, let us start with Aries. Let's see what specific messages we have for you. Six of Swords and Page of Cups in reverse. So our Six of Swords, this is also that energy of positive change and moving on. So, it looks like for Aries, you do have this big push of positive change. You're at a crossroads here. The divine is testing you and you're being pushed to move on. Then we also have our Page of Cups in reverse, which is a little bit of this like immaturity though and insecurity. So this is for you, this is the challenge, is overcoming this immaturity and in like the feelings of being insecure about moving on. So, this is where you need to rely on your meditation, rely on that faith that things are going in the right direction, trust in the divine, that even if you can't see exactly where you're going, that you are, going on the right path because you're moving away from the devil energy that's really trying to push down on you right now. You're stronger than you realize. So Aries, you are stronger than you realize. You don't have to stay in a situation that you don't want to be in, but you need to be able to dig deep and tap into that strength and say, okay, enough is enough. I'm tired of this devil energy pushing on me. This time around, I've learned my lesson and I'm going to be moving on. because I want to do something different. You know, and again, there's no shortcut to healing. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to make this decision and 10 minutes later I feel like $1 million, but you've got to start somewhere. So, all right, that was for Aries. And now we're going to look at Leo. See what wants to come through for Leo. 3 of Cups in reverse and 7 of Cups. So you have a lot of decisions, and there's a lot of Cups energy here for the Leos. So your 3 of Cups in reverse is kind of this like lonely energy, because you have all these decisions and you feel like you don't really know what to do. Like you are at this decision point and you're moving on because you don't want to keep looping through these lessons. But at the same time, that's creating some loneliness. So the devil energy for you is going to show up in this form of loneliness, of, you know, that whisper in your ear that, see, now you're all by yourself. You should have just stayed where you were. But this is that energy that you need to overcome, because you have more choices than you think. So it's not just a matter of, you know, when it was the 2 of Wands, it's not just, you know, I'm choosing this wand or this wand. That's more of like a crossroads of, do I want to choose this mentality or that mentality? Do I want to go with this belief system or that belief system? And when you make that choice, yes, it might feel lonely at first, but it's going to open up a lot of possibilities for you. You just have to stay the course and, you know, have that visionary capability here to be able to say, I may not be able to see it right now in this moment, but there's something better that's more in alignment coming in for me. If you're doing it with all your heart, you will succeed. So this is a matter of really quieting this devil voice that's trying to tell you, well, nope, you're not, you know, you're just going to end up by yourself. Like, lead with your heart and not with fear, and you'll succeed. You'll get to where you want to go. Okay, Sagittarius now. Just take a minute to make sure I go in order. All right, Sagittarius, what messages are coming through for you? We have our Ace of Cups in reverse and Queen of Pentacles. So this is that luxurious, you know, sitting in this comfortable energy. And your Ace of Cups in reverse is about feeling unloved and having some of these blocks. So the challenge for you is that, you know, this devil energy, and I'll say that both of these are going together. Actually, it's probably more of this is your devil energy. You're sitting in this sense of like comfort or luxury. And so that is, it's leading you to feel unloved, but because there's this comfort in place, it's like there's this hesitancy to make any changes. There's a hesitancy to move on because there's this fear of, well, am I turning my back on the luxuries that I already know, on the comfort that I already know, even though you've been looping in these feelings of being, you know, unhappy and feeling unloved. You've been looping through that, but there's still this fear, this devil energy, this fear of, yeah, but am I going to be walking away from some of this abundance or luxury that I know? You know, maybe it's a matter of, if you walk away from this job, then there's concerns about what am I going to do for money? Or if I walk away from this relationship, you know, hey, my partner was the one that made a lot of money, or will I have to pay them alimony? You know, so there's like financial concerns there. And that's the devil energy. That's that fear that's keeping you in that place of feeling unloved. So your hard work will pay off. So some of this too with your hard work, and it could be a matter of just needing to plan a little bit more, like making the decision that you're moving on. And this is like this traveling personal power type of thing, planning for it. So if it's a matter of you're afraid of walking away from the financial security, financial abundance, planning for it so that you don't feel as vulnerable when you take the next step. So that was for our fire signs. So that was for our Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And next we are on to our earth signs. So what messages want to come through for our earth signs for today? Let's see. Earth signs. Death. So something's coming to an end. So jump right in there. So something's coming to an end. Although, you know, with this sense of personal power and moving on, it's almost like you're the one that's leading this feeling of something coming to an end. So Remember, death can also be that it's related to just differences in thought patterns, like you're ending a cycle of believing XYZ to be true. So this goes along a lot as well with this full moon in Libra, like this Libra lunar eclipse, because it's releasing what's no longer serving you and planting the seeds for a better tomorrow. So what is it in your life that's no longer serving you? When that card flipped, there was probably an immediate thought of, oh, this situation is what she's talking about. So yes, that's the situation I'm talking about. Whatever comes to mind first. And then we have White Tara, sensitivity. You are becoming increasingly sensitive. Avoid harsh relationships, environments, situations, and chemicals. So don't keep looping yourself through these really harsh things. Like, that's not what you're supposed to be here for. So remember, you're on this planet. You incarnated here to learn lessons. This is a classroom. This isn't supposed to be something where, you get to the end and you're like, wow, I developed the ability to stand there and take abuse after abuse after abuse. Like, what's the lesson behind that? You need to be making choices that empower you, not ones that just build up your tolerance to being mistreated. All right. And then we have right path, wrong approach. So whatever it is that you're doing to try to bring about this change, because this is about moving on and personal empowerment, what is it that you're doing to try to get there? So, for example, and this is the one that pops into mind, is if you know that you need to leave a certain relationship, it's not healthy, it's maybe a toxic relationship, unfulfilling, however you want to describe it, and you need to leave, but rather than you standing up and doing it, you're just going to sit there and keep baiting your partner until they get mad and end things. So, right path, that yes, you need out of it. Wrong approach, like baiting the other person into blowing up or getting mad, is not the right approach. Like, you need to stand there in an empowered place and say, this is what I'm doing for me. Because part of it too with your lessons, if your lessons are supposed to be about standing up for yourself and, how do you get yourself out of toxic, bad, draining relationships, whatever the case may be, waiting for somebody else to make the hard call doesn't mean that you learned the lesson. That's like saying, oh, I'm miserable and I'm just going to wait and see if, my partner gets hit by a car or struck by lightning. Like, there's no lesson in that. Like, you're not gonna be able to say, oh yes, I learned that lesson and I'm moving on, because you didn't do anything about it. You know what I mean? Like, you were letting the universe step in and handle it for you. So you're kind of throwing your hands up like, I know I need to change, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait for someone else to do it. So right path, like you're thinking about the right things. It's just the wrong approach on how to get there. And then we have aqua aura quartz, balance, equilibrium, and flow. So those blues are going together. So there's, needing to find that balance and that equilibrium. If there's a situation where energetically it's a big mismatch, if it's got 4 of Cups flipped, your energetically, your relationships need to be balanced. I'm not saying that exactly tit for tat, well, I did the laundry, therefore you need to do the dishes, and that makes it an even exchange. But energetically, if you're pouring energy in, the other person should be pouring energy in as well. Otherwise, it just feels imbalanced and it feels like you're being taken advantage of or taken for granted. So finding that balance and that flow, and sometimes that balance and that flow is the death card. It is ending of something. It is moving on from something. So the card that jumped for you was 4 of Cups, and I'll pull a couple more. We have 5 of Wands in reverse, and we have 10 of Swords in reverse. So our 4 of Cups, this is this like kind of apathy and gloom. In this card, it's like a little bit of also just backing away from something. I mean, like she's like scared of the drink that's coming at her. And so this is that sense of you're backing away from what you need to do because of a sense of apathy. Like, if I do this, then I'm going to have to do something else. So it's almost like, yeah, I know I need to do it, but I really don't want to deal with the headache of what comes next after doing what I have to do. Your 5 of Wands in reverse is going to be, though, about finding peace and resolution to whatever this situation is that you're needing to move away from. And then with our 10 of Swords in reverse, it's turning a corner. So, you are getting to a point where you're moving on. Taurus, you're getting to a point where you're moving on, you're turning a corner, you're done with this, this sense of this is just not working, so you're turning a corner there. And call in your spirit team to help you. So when you need help, ask for it. Your guides are there to be able to help you. So that was for Taurus. Let's take a look at Virgo. Let's see what wants to come through for Virgo. Temperance in reverse and Knight of Cups in reverse. So your Temperance in reverse is that there's an imbalance here. And so that's what you're being called to make a decision about. That's what you're being called, to handle and moving on from moving on from that imbalance. We also have our Knight of Cups in reverse, which is about kind of this bad mood and disappointments, because of the fact that things are out of balance. It's putting you in this bad mood. But what is it that you need to do to get yourself out of that? You need to take yourself, remove yourself from harsh situations, harsh relationships. And then you will be able to find some of that balance. All right. And then we have, there's energetic forces working against you. So something is trying to work against you to keep things from moving on. So be aware of that when you're doing your meditations. And, it's going to take more effort to be able to find that balance, to be able to find that equilibrium in life, because there's energetic forces that are pushing against you, that are keeping you in that looping energy. So look to try to find that balance, where it's an energetic balance with you. Ooh. And go from there. All right, Capricorn. Let's take a look at Capricorn. The Lovers in reverse and the High Priestess in reverse. So the Lovers in reverse for Capricorn, this could either mean that it's the ending of a relationship. There's a lot of imbalance, a lot of disharmony going on, and there's this sense of blocked inner wisdom. So the divine feminine energy is being blocked here. So you need to tap into what is it that is, you're becoming increasingly sensitive and avoiding these harsh relationships. What are these harsh relationships you need to avoid? Because it's causing this imbalance, and it's causing you to push out of your divine feminine energy. And that's not necessarily a place that you want to be. You need to be able to be in a balanced state between your masculine and feminine energies. And try a new hobby. So sometimes it's a matter of distracting yourself from what's going on, as long as you're doing it in a way that's not like, okay, I'm avoiding handling the situation, but sometimes it'll help spark some of that creative flow in you a little bit more. So especially if it's your feminine energy that's really low, new hobbies like creative hobbies are going to help kickstart some of that creative feminine flow, like inner wisdom and all of that. So, yeah, for Capricorn, it could be that there's a relationship that needs to come to an end. And as I said, with the Libra lunar eclipse, that's kind of putting this focus on relationships and what are the good connections that you have that you want to nurture and that you want to take to the next level, and what are the I guess kind of bad connections or one-sided connections or the draining connections, and really asking yourself some of the tough questions as it relates to those. So that was for our earth signs. So that was for Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. And now we will move on to our water signs, which is Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. So let's see what messages are coming through for Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. The Hermit. So this is that period of self-imposed reflection, and you're really learning, like you're at this crossroads and you want to move on, and so you're really learning those lessons and thinking about those lessons so that you can light the way for somebody else, for other people. So, it's taking that judgment card seriously, that the divine wants to come in and reward me for learning my lessons. So let me make sure I'm really understanding these lessons and really taking it to heart, because it's not enough to identify what the lessons are. You also have to incorporate that into your being. So, if part of the lesson, take it something easy. You stick your hand in the fire and you get burned. It's one thing to acknowledge that, hey, sticking my hand in the fire is going to burn me. It's another thing to say, I am no longer going to stick my hand in the fire. So that's the part, like that's the, where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. So you have to first identify the lesson, and then you have to make the change that's going to incorporate that lesson. Isis, past life. The situation involves your past life memories. So this could be a connection with a past life partner. It could also be lessons that you were working on in a past life and you had not quite mastered yet. So sometimes if you have lessons, like if it's a matter of standing up for yourself, maybe you tried that in the past life and you weren't very successful. So now it's, here comes the lesson again. It says tap into your creative side. So sometimes that helps open up recognition of what some of these past life experiences have been. Let's pull another one, since that was a jumper card. You are closer to your goals than you think. So as you are in this reflective state and really trying to figure out what direction you want to go and all of that, you're closer to your goals than you think. So keep having that reflective time. Keep having that meditation. You're moving on from a bad situation, and you're closer to being able to move on from it than you think. All right. Pink spirit gold, Dead Sea salt, yin and yang, perfect harmony. So again, this one is about finding balance, and there was a lot of that with the other ones as well that I did. It's about finding balance. So you need to be in a situation where it feels energetically balanced, where you feel like you're able to maintain that high vibrational state without having to constantly be battling and pushing against your partner to stay in that high vibrational state, or battling and pushing against your boss or your parents or your friends. So some of that, finding that perfect harmony, where can you sit in that high vibe state and be with other people that are in that high vibe state to amplify it. All right, let's start with Cancer. Let's see, I pulled two of them. So we have the Star, and this is about bringing in those blessings. And then we also have the Hanged Man energy, which some of that is about needless self-sacrifice. And so there's kind of this sense of, avoiding martyrdom, like, well, I know this is bad, but this is just this is just the price I have to pay, and I'm just going to sit here and be in this terrible situation because I deserve it. Like, none of that. Part of it with learning the lessons, self-flagellating is not gonna it's not gonna make the lesson more important. Like, that's kind of the old way of thinking about it, like punishing yourself. Allow yourself to learn the lesson, move into happiness, and then share that light with somebody else. Share that knowledge, share that wisdom with somebody else, and that's going to be what's bringing in your blessings. It's not, can I punish myself enough for, call it bad karma, if you want to call it that. It's not a matter of, can I punish myself enough to earn the right to be happy? It's, can you share what you've learned to help other people grow as well? And then it says, take a step away from your current problem. So some of it is, if you've been sitting here and, you've been stalling and there's been delays and things like that, take a step back and from it and say, okay, if this was a movie I was watching and I'm looking to see how this person acts, what what would be the best way for this person to act? Like, don't sit there and just keep wallowing and wallowing. Like, there's a message, there's something you should be doing to move on. And what is that? How do you move this experience forward? How do you move this lesson forward? And if you can take a step away from your current problem, sometimes that's when that answer comes to you. All right, Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for you. We have Ace of Pentacles in reverse, and we have the Four of Pentacles. So the Four of Pentacles, this is that that sense of stability. And then you have your Ace of Pentacles in reverse, which is kind of like this lack of focus, lack of direction. So, you know, usually we've been having our Four of Pentacles in reverse a lot, but this is, you know, this is about kind of this security and materialism. And then with our Ace of Pentacles in reverse, it's like there's this lack of, like, you've had some missed opportunities. So you had some opportunities for growth that you haven't taken. And so now it's coming back around for, like, from a judgment standpoint, it's coming back around. Like, have you learned this lesson? And the hard thing is, if you're in a position where you feel stable right now, if it's financial stability, sometimes the lesson might be triggering you to move out of that. So, so make sure that you're looking at it in the right perspective. Like, what is the lesson here? And that you're moving towards the lesson, and don't get sucked into a feeling of, well, everything's okay now, you know, like, this job is terrible, but I just got a raise, so maybe I should stay. If the job was terrible before you got the raise, unless the only complaint was about the pay, the job is still going to be terrible. If, you know, if you don't feel good about the line of work you're in, just because you get a raise doesn't make you feel better about the line of work you're in. And the jumper card was relief shall come quickly, and they aren't who you think they are. So, so take that as it resonates. If this was a relationship that you thought that you needed, that was triggering in terms of the moving on, there could be some past life issues with them, but they may also be concealing certain things from you. They may not be telling you the whole story. So be mindful of that. But let's pull, since that kind of seemed to be a little bit disconnected, let's pull a couple more. So that was for Scorpio. So we also have the Ace of Wands in reverse and the Death card. So the Ace of Wands in reverse is about kind of like feelings of abandonment and like a lack of creativity. So you had two aces coming up in reverse. So this is energy of trying to stall, or it's like a new fresh energy is wanting to come in, but there's all these blocks to it. So something has to go in order for these new starts to come in, because this is blocks to new beginnings. And it could be, you know, they aren't who they think you are, or they aren't who you think they are. So be mindful of that when you're looking around at the major players in your life. If you know, when I turned this over and said that there's something you're moving on from, what was the first thing you thought about? And then look at who are the other players that are involved most closely with that, and make sure that you're seeing things clearly. So when you're in this hermit reflective state, make sure that you're seeing things clearly. All right, and last but not least, we have our Pisces. So Pisces, what messages are coming in from you? Nine of Wands and King of Cups. So we have this balance, this wisdom and balance that wants to come in. And then with our Nine of Wands, there's this like persistence, and you're making a stand. So you acknowledge what this crossroad is, what this lesson is, and you're sitting in this sense of like wisdom and balance, and I know what it is. I know what it is that I need to do, and what it is that I need to do to move past this lesson. So this is like you're understanding what that is, and you're at a point where you're ready to do that. So you're ready to make a stand and say, okay, enough of this, whatever these other imbalances are, and take more time to meditate. So as you step forward into making that decision and moving on, make sure that you're spending time meditating, asking for guidance as you work through this, and have that persistence and that wisdom. and you'll see some positive results there. So I hope that you found this message to be helpful. As always, take only what resonates and leave the rest. And I wish you peace and joy along your journey this weekend. Until next time.